Hi guys, my name is Dan. I'm a member of John Moore's Christian Union. This is another part of our story series where someone shares a story of how God is working in their lives or has worked in their lives. And this week it's me giving my story. I'm a sound technology student at LIPA, and part of that involves me getting involved with gigs both on site at university and external ones as well. These external gigs happen at all sorts of venues, from bars and clubs all the way to smaller acoustic sets, just at like a cafe. I was asked by a friend of mine to help her set up and organise all the technical side for a small acoustic gig she was doing. And I said absolutely. The only issue at the start that I could see was that it was close to a deadline. It was a couple of days afterwards, and it was also the weekend after the CU weekend away. As it turns out, the place where we were performing had no equipment at all, which meant that we had to sort it all. This would usually be fine, but it just so happens at this time there was a whole load of other important gigs going on, and so our university couldn't lend us any of the equipment. This gig was a few weeks off, and so I decided to focus on my assignment and also to plan for CU weekend away. As it got closer to the deadline, I started to get more and more stressed. All of our attempts to find this equipment kept getting shut down. My assignment kept piling up more and more work that I needed to do. This meant that as I got more and more stressed, every time when I woke up in the morning, I'd try and get straight to work to do something productive. It meant that I wasn't reading the Bible as much as I usually do. It also meant that I wasn't praying as much as I normally do. And so, because of this, it kind of spiraled, and I got really, really anxious one day. One day, we were at a CU meeting planning the weekend away, and just before we started, we had a reading from a passage in Matthew. It's Matthew 6:25. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you be worrying at a single hour to your life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? What shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And as I was read this, I realised that in not reading my Bible and not praying, I had not been focusing on God. I hadn't been putting my faith in Him. I'd been trying to sort this all out by myself. And so I went home that day, and I prayed for quite a while. And I basically asked God to help me to be less anxious and to focus on Him during this tough time. And so I woke up the next morning and started reading my Bible again. And as I did so, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace over me. I was quite tense, quite stressed. I hadn't been sleeping very well, and yet that morning I felt more relaxed than I had done for the last week. Didn't mean my problems were sorted, far from it. Things actually spiraled more and more out of control. Our gig, we had no equipment 2 days before starting. I went on the weekend away with this concert a few days away, without having any clue how we were going to get any of the sound to work. And yet I wasn't stressed. I was incredibly calm because I knew that God cares for me, and in the grand scheme of things, my faith is much more important than a small concert. Yes, it would have been so upsetting to let my friend down, and I didn't want to do that. However, I knew that it was more important that I followed God, and that I had to trust that He would provide, that He would look after me in this situation. And so I got back from the weekend away, and this amazing thing happened. I literally arrived back that evening. I was exhausted. We don't usually get much sleep in these things. Um, and I got home, and I literally just the first thing I did was, right, I need to find some microphones. And it wasn't until the day of the gig where I got a message from the PA hire company saying that they could provide everything. And 30 minutes before soundcheck was meant to start, we managed to get everything set up. It was a very, very close call. And yet, during all this time, from about a week and a half before all this happened, I had felt no anxiety about the whole situation. Not because I wasn't anxious, I was, but I was focused on God, and doing that, He helped to relieve my anxiety, not anything that I could have done. I hope both this passage I've read and this story is helpful to you. This passage is so brilliant, particularly while we're stuck in quarantine. Um, it's very easy to worry about the future, and yet Jesus tells us that our Heavenly Father will look after us, and the first thing we should do is seek His kingdom and His righteousness, and everything else will be given to us. And so let us remember that over this lovely bank holiday weekend. I hope you're all doing well. God bless.